Okay, hi everybody. We are going to talk today about...
different types of autism.
Yes, we are. And today we have someone really special coming on. Her name is Janella. She goes by diversity and neurodiversity. And, you know, she was a former, I'd call her hater, perhaps. But she was really willing to listen. So my initial words on my page were misinterpreted or not interpreted the way I intended. But she was sweet enough to just reach out to me and say, hey, why did you say that? So of course I responded, and we have formed a really cool, I think, understanding. She was not diagnosed till later in life, so she's a late diagnosed person. So her experience
And
was...
she had no speech delay, just like I did.
That's right, she had no speech. There's many people on the spectrum that have no interventions like you did at all.
What interventions did I have?
You tell me.
Speech therapy, occupational therapy, ABA.
What else?
Adaptive PE, even though I didn't like it.
But it helped you.
But it was more boyish.
Yeah. Go where the boys are.
No, I don't want to go where
I'm kidding. That's what most girls want to be, the only girl, so that they have all the attention from the boys. Or at least that was my strategy back in high school. She don't care. The way this autism community is going to come together to help everyone, including the lowest support needs person that was diagnosed yesterday to somebody who needs 24-hour care. We want this community to come together. We do not want people fighting. And Janella is going to help us come together as one. Right, girl?
Yes.
I want you to get to know Janella, okay?
I will.
Beautiful.
Can I have a break?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I got diagnosed when I was, formally diagnosed when I was 29. I'm 32 now. So it's been like three years? Yeah, like 3 years of like getting to know myself and unpacking like my journey with autism. But before that, I had been kind of like always experiencing issues with like my social communication, social skills, other sensory things, like other related autism stuff that I just didn't know how to verbalize. It wasn't until I had been on a journey of trying to find necessarily what was wrong with me, because my family has like a history of like mental disorders that were undiagnosed until one of my family members was diagnosed with like bipolar disorder. But with all that, like when I had taken my parents or was picking them up from the airport, I was like really overstimulated. If you guys go to LAX, it's a terrible place. Yeah. But it was just like, I think on the weekend of like Labor Day or something, or July 4th. And so it was super busy. They didn't come out at the time that they said they were coming out. And I kept going round and round. And I was like having a meltdown in the car, banging like my steering wheel, and like I used to bang my head, but I was like really like scrunching my hair and like having this like really intense meltdown. And then I don't know, it was just something where I was like looking at other people in the car and then looking at myself, and I was like, something's really wrong. Like I know I could see agitation in other people, but nobody's reacting this intensely. And then from that, I think I just started to look more. I was like, okay, I think it was from Love on the Spectrum, but it was like the Australian version. Oh, yeah. And I had seen people who were so different with their like sensitivities and just being autistic. And then from that, I then looked and researched more into autism, especially autism in women. And that was kind of like a year to or so like process of unpacking that. And then I had self-diagnosed as autistic, and then once I had gotten my job with like healthcare and everything, I had then wanted to do a formal diagnosis, and then from that I then got diagnosed with autism. But that's like pretty much the journey there. But ever since then, after a year of like having my diagnosis, I wanted to just research it more, but also find community in it. So that's why I started making TikToks, so that I could like educate myself as well as like try to find a community of people. And that's kind of basically what brought me here today.
We saw each other's,
through TikTok.
Each other's stories. So here's a question just based on that, and having lived a life where you were not diagnosed. Let's go back to like childhood and high school times. You said something to me that you may not remember, but this has stuck with me. You said when we talked, I think we did an Instagram live together. You said when I was in high school, I was known as the mean girl. You said that, and you said because people thought I was saying things that was kind of like mean, and you had no idea or intention that it was mean. Can you talk about that part? I know that you didn't need interventions like, behavior interventions or speech therapy, because that's not the kind of place that you find yourself with your autism, but what were some of the struggles internally for you?
Yeah, so with that, a lot of it was a lot of those like social understanding, where I was considered a mean person because I was just very direct, and then because because of my autism and like where I need a lot of structure and rules, I would follow rules. So then when other kids weren't following the rules, I would tell on them. So then I would tell them like, hey, you're being really, like, as a kid, I would say those things like, you're being really stupid right now, like not doing this and this, and saying stuff like that. And there was definitely times where I'm sure I definitely was mean in like how maybe I was treating people.
But do you think that meanness came from that direct thing, the idea that these are the rules, black and white, I follow this, not to get someone in trouble?
Yeah, I think
what I
it
mean?
was. I get you. Yeah, it was more like that. Like I'm not trying to intentionally like be mean to be like vindictive,
Yeah.
but it was because they weren't following the rules, so they should be in trouble. So yeah, it was definitely that black and white thinking, and like also I think it's situations where I always like when it came to being around kids like wanting control, I would always because it would if it was too spontaneous or somebody else was like trying to play with me, I'm like, no, that's not how it works. We need to do it like this. Like follow the leader was one of the things that I would do. So I would always have to be the leader. And then I would tell everybody else, okay, you're here, and you're here, of like the line and order of like who was there. But then I know there was one of my friends that I had grown up and we actually have a really falling out. But I had known her since I was 3 and I would always put her in the back of the line. And so she would always like, she took that very personally over the years. But funny enough too, she was also the person who became like really like my best friend as a child. And I had, it was something I was just talking to my friend today is like, for my autism, because I was so direct and like that, those are things that are not socially acceptable and just so like casting as mean. She was the opposite, who was a lot more friendly, socially understandable. So I would, a lot of my personality and a lot of my life, like growing up with her, I would imitate or mimic her. So I would mimic a lot of her personality so that I would be more likable.
Does that fall into the masking?
Yeah, I would say definitely.
So
yeah.
This is an interesting because the more low support needs or late diagnosed people I talk to, the more I'm hearing. I know what masking is, but the actual mimicking of somebody else's personality in order to fit in. So talk about that for a little bit. You were aware you were doing it, right? And did it make you feel like you fit in more? Did it make you feel like you were in more control?
Yeah, I think it was both of those things. Like I would be able to fit in a little bit more. I would be able to feel more control of like how I was speaking or like how I should be acting. So like again, like the things that kind of fall into masking and like camouflaging is like scripting and so a lot of those things I was doing too because I was mimicking off of my friend. And then a lot of the times too, I like as an adult, I realized like the stuff I did that were autistic, like echolalia and like a lot of the things where I would repeat the phrases that she would repeat or like lines from movies and shows and use that as part of like ways to be like as part of my script for social situations.
But you had language. You were able to express your needs. Say, have a conversation or jump in. But the idea of scripting or copying made you feel more like you were in control of the social situation. I see. That's interesting because it's a similar thing, but Abbey used it for very different reasons. Abbey didn't have the thought at all. Abbey would just script because she lived an experience when she heard the script. So I always use the example like the water spilled and then she's startled. So the next time she's startled, she says the water spilled. instead of saying I'm startled, which is why I could never figure out what was really going on for her. We asked her earlier today, I said, when do you feel like you were able to be more comfortable in conversations? She said 18. Because in my mind, I'm like, 13, 14 is when she started to. She herself said 18. So you can see that the sort of social component of autism and these two different affects are different, but yet they're doing the same thing. Because Abbey talks about copying other kids. But you know what Abbey did? She physically copied them. So if a kid sneezed, she sneezed. She would copy kids in the playground. She would do it in a mean way. So
it seemed like bullying then to them.
But it also seemed people were a little scared of her as a kid, because if like a girl started laughing wildly, Abby would literally go like close to her and go and do the same thing, because she was angry that she couldn't join that social circle, and she couldn't hide her anger. Now, Abby wound up going to an autism school, so she was in a different population by the time she was 8. Abby does not mask.
Right.
Now, that's a big statement, and I know I'm going to get haters that's going to comment. But anyway, I've had doctors confirm that. I've had friends confirm that. I've had low support needs friends confirm that, because Abby is Abby at 100%. Doesn't have the desire, doesn't have the awareness, doesn't care. That's fine with me. That's why it's kind of like, Abby's Abby.
Yeah.
But so many people with lower support needs mask because they are aware of the social situation. They are aware that they can't read the room.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit in terms of the masking, because I think it sounds like something you did a lot maybe in high school.
Yeah. Interesting enough, I feel like I'm not very able to do masking, but like how you're saying, I have the ability to do it versus Abby.
Got it.
Right?
That's really the thing. Is I feel like we don't talk enough about that some have the ability to mask and others don't.
Yeah, no, I think that's
awareness.
really true. That's something I talk a lot about in my platform, is advocating a lot more for moderate support needs and higher support needs individuals, as well as people of color, how that experiences really differ from white lower support needs autistic people. Because of that, there is an inability. A lot of my moderate support needs friends cannot mask. Like my friend Sienna, who's a higher support needs individual, says they're unable to mask. That is not something, just like you say with Abby, she's herself 100% because they don't have the ability to.
If you ever felt bullied or misunderstood, that stays with you. That's traumatic. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. That was actually the defining moment in my autism assessment that clicked for me. My assessor was really considerate and kind with. I'm really lucky with the person I got, because I had come in with all my research and things of examples of here you go, this is why I'm autistic.
Oh my God.
And she's like, oh great, you made my job easier. I was like, yep, I'm ready. And but I also had inhibitions of oh hey, I think if I know for the assessment that I had to do, you have to have your parents and people who have known you for a really long time fill out the assessment forms. And I had my dad do it, and I was well, I'm really afraid that my father's going to he's going to minimize the actual challenges that I had, and I'm scared that's going to contribute to whether she might think I'm autistic or not. But she was very considerate in that, because my dad did exactly that in the phone call and stuff, and was like, no, she's perfect, she never had any problems, this, even though growing up it was always why do you have a problem with this, why do you do this, blah blah blah. But she was like, yeah, so your dad did exactly what you were saying you're doing. But everything else from your husband's assessment, this other things, the other stuff that that you've given me, that's why she was like, oh, I do think you're autistic, and gave me that diagnosis. It's another thing of everybody needs to learn more about each other in the different challenges, but be open to how it's going to be different and not overlapping in some ways, and still accept the differences. It is still part of being autistic.
That's why I love that we did this today. I love that we were able to share ideas. This is just the beginning, girl. Yeah. Just the beginning.
I really enjoy getting to know Christine more, and just seeing how she and I really have a lot of the same goals that we want for the community. And so yeah, I think it's really sad that people have villainized her because it's the complete opposite of who she is and her goals. That what she wants to really bring the community together, as she's like already we've talked so much about today. But yeah, I guess that's my message. You just like we need more opportunities and times to just be open with discussions like this instead of trying, as Christine said, like defend our autism, but just know that, just understand each other's experiences.
26 years on the front lines of autism interventions. Please subscribe if you want to hear more.